The most important thing for any crypto investor long term to understand, I think, is the regulatory treatment, the political status of every single crypto asset. And you got to start by defining what's a cryptocurrency, what's a crypto property, what's a crypto security, what's a crypto platform. And as far as I can see, Bitcoin is a crypto property. And by property, it means it's viewed as a fair, common piece of property beyond the control of a company or a group of individuals. It has to be pari passu to land or soybeans or gold or food, some commodity. If you parse everything I've said in the past 18 months, you will not see me utter ever that I thought that you should buy MSTR. I have never endorsed my own stock. I've never uttered an opinion of my own stock. You can go on Twitter and, you can trash, MSTR to the cows come home. I'm not going to defend it. I'm not going to say anything. I have no comment. It's a security. It's a security. I have civil liability, criminal liability, right? If you lie about a security, right? If you inadvertently lie, if you tell the truth as you understood it, but it turns out not to be the truth, right? 6 years later, you find yourself in court defending it. So securities are a different creature altogether than property. And I think that if you look at Bitcoin, it is the dominant digital property network. The other forks, Bitcoin Cash, Bitcoin Satoshi Vision, they're less than 1% now. If you have a similar property network, if it's global non-sovereign store of value, if that's the use case, if that's the design, which is what Bitcoin is, then I think information theory, the law of thermodynamics, the law of marketing, the law of politics says all the energy tends to collapse into the dominant network. Classic business strategy says that whatever your market is, you need to dominate that market. If you can bring the overbearing amount of assets to bear in a given market, you'll crush everybody else, and there's one winner. The only way that you can win if you don't have that overwhelming support is you have to segment the market. Well, if you parse the words of the regulators and if you look at the law, I can't find any reading of the law that indicates that anything else is other than a security. If it uses a coin to stake, every proof of stake network is a digital security. It's been explicitly stated by the regulators. If there's a stake and it generates yield, it's an investment contract. An investment contract is a security. It passes the Howey test. If you've got a pre-mine, an ICO, if you've got a foundation, if you've got developers controlling it, if you're driving hard forks every 3 to 6 months, if the security from the network comes from software, then you've got software developers that can control that network. If it's a permission network, who gets to stake their coins, right? Do I get to stake 92% of the network for the next 90 seconds? Who gets to stake their coins? If someone controls access to the network, it becomes a security. So the issue there is everything that's a security is in a regulatory gray zone. And in order for you to invest in any of those things, you have to be willing to accept the securities risk, the legal risk, the competitive risk, and the literal cybersecurity risk. Will it be hacked? Will it be copied? Will it be banned? Okay, before I buy Bitcoin, I would ask those 3 questions. And then before I would endorse it, it's an important ethical question. Is it property or is it security? If you're the mayor of a city, if you're a senator, a governor, if you're a president of a country, if you're a public official, if you're the head of the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, if you run any nonprofit organization, you can't endorse a security. You can only endorse a property. It's reasonable for you to say, I believe a chicken in every pot. Everybody should have a home. a chicken, a farm, and some Bitcoin. You understand? Because I just endorsed 4 flavors of property. I could even say you should have some gold in the basement because they're deemed as common property. But if I were to say, I think you should buy my Yo-Yo Dine stock, and if I think that Sailor Moon coin is really good, or Sailor Moon 2 coin, because there's not just one coin, right? There's multiple Sailor Moon coins, or Son of Shiba Dog coin is whatever. Now, the issue really is it property? It's not that I think that it's impossible to create another property token. It's possible. You can create a crypto property network by making it legal tender, or by giving it a tax advantage, or by just simply saying it's illegal to mine anything other than Canada coin in Canada. And Canadian banks can handle Canada coin. And Canadian banks cannot handle anything else, or maybe they can handle Bitcoin and Canada coin. You've got 2 forms of property. Just look, silver and gold are property. Soybeans and dirt, sawdust are property, I guess, right? There could be multiple forms of property, but here's where you go awry. If I start a company and I issue half the tokens to my friends and family, and I control the protocol, and then I sell 10% of the tokens to the public, and if I have the ability to change the monetary policy, I have to disclose to the public who it is that controls the policies. What if I were to sell you, like if I sold 1 million shares of MicroStrategy, and then like 2 years later, you found out that I actually had 100 million more shares I didn't tell you about. The thing that's powerful about Bitcoin, which makes it a solution to a $250 to $500 trillion problem, is we have perfected a crypto property, at least one, in cyberspace. And the monetary policy of Bitcoin is pretty much set in stone on Pizza Day. If you roll the clock back to May 22nd, 2010, it was like, we're going to issue this much Bitcoin between now and 2140, and we're going to run off of transaction fees for the next 1,000 years. With good faith, I can say to you, I think I know the monetary policy. I don't think anybody can change it. I can't change it. I have no intention to change it. And so that's what makes it useful for $500 trillion worth of companies, insurance companies, governments, banks, to use this as what? As a foundation for a balance sheet. When you look at everything else, I would just say, yeah, they're all interesting, but they're competing. If they're competing as non-compliant tokens, then they're going to work in the gray market. And will they be able to become compliant? And what does it mean to be compliant? Will you be able to trade these tokens for the next 10 years? And will you have to make a disclosure? And what's the disclosure? And what will the SEC say? And I don't know, right? It's like, that is venture capital and it's speculation. And if you see the world as crypto only, then you live in that world. But you got to keep in mind that Fortnite can issue tokens, and Activision can issue tokens. So you're competing against Facebook and Microsoft and Google and Apple, and you're like, well, why aren't they in the market right now? Well, because certain things are non-compliant and they're illegal. That's why they're not in the market right now. Whoever manages to sell crypto property, cryptocurrency, and crypto exchange to the mega nation states, they'll succeed. Like Coinbase, for example, is much more compliant, right? They're in the US, they're publicly traded, right? They're on one side of the trade. You've got players like FTX and Binance on the other side of the trade. They're rich, they have richer product offerings, they're more articulate, they're higher speed, higher velocity. And just like you can bet on the outcome of a football game offshore, but you can't bet on the outcome of a football game onshore. What will happen? So I would say they're just totally different things. And no digital security is ever going to displace Bitcoin which is a digital property. The only thing that can displace digital property is a better digital property, which means it needs to be engineered and it needs to have the same legal, ethical, political characteristics.